Welcome back to another episode of Believe in TCU. I'm Zion Trammell here with my co-host Seth Dowdle. Baseball season is finally here. I have been waiting so long to say those words, but Frog Ball is back. The Horned Frogs, the number 10 ranked TCU Horned Frogs, will head to Globe Life Field this weekend for their first three-game series, taking on some pretty heavy hitters to start the season out of the SEC. Number 23, Vanderbilt Friday. Number 7, Arkansas on Saturday, and Oklahoma on Sunday. That is quite a slate to start the season, Seth.
Yeah, it's as we've grown accustomed to this, TCU playing kind of these really big-time teams in Arlington the first week of the season, except for last year. I don't think they did, but it'll be a fun time nonetheless. And super pumped to see what this team's got to do. And we'll talk about it a little bit. The first couple weekends for the Horned Frogs are going to be a test of what this team is made of, at least in the early going with this series, and then heading out to LA for the second week of the year. Should be a really fun start, and hopefully the Frogs get off to a good one.
I think it was flipped last year. They started out against UCLA and then played in Globe Life. This year,
well, they were in San Diego. They played San Diego last year.
Oh, sorry, yes.
They did not play UCLA.
Wow, as someone from California, I just let down the state right there by just mixing up the two. Hand up, that's on me.
Hand up, that's on me.
All right, Seth. So back to TCU again. There are really high expectations for Kirk Saarloos' team. Last year, get to the regional and the Oregon State regional, and it just kind of fell a little flat there. But this team was young last year. Still a young team this year, but I think the expectations are soaring high for this group. A lot of guys came back. This offense is going to be an absolute show to watch, to say the least. There are big names all across the board. What are your guys to look for? Obviously, there's some obvious names, but what are your kind of expectations with the offense this year?
I'll say this about the offense real fast. Of the seven out of the 9 players that are projected to be in the starting lineup that were here last year, first of all, 8 of the 9 were here last year. The one that isn't is the brother of someone who was, or one of the ones that isn't is the brother of someone that was, and the other is a transfer who's going to be a really big time impact player for TCU. We'll talk about who those people are in a second, but 7 out of the 9 returners hit over 313 last year.
That's good, right?
Yeah, very good. And batting average isn't everything, but it's still a pretty big component of how good a baseball player is. And I think TCU has some really heavy hitters. You asked specifically someone to watch out for, someone to look out for. You got to start off with Stross, right? Sawyer Strosnider in right field. He's one of the top MLB prospects for this upcoming draft. It's hard to imagine him being in a Horned Frog uniform longer than just this one season after this one. Obviously, we hope that he's stuck around for a long time, but he has some professional prospects in his future for sure. Hit 350, slugged 650, hit 11 homers, drove him 51 runs last year. This is a guy that we were kind of crapping on. I remember early on in the season, he was hitting 9th. He was really struggling as a freshman, and then all of a sudden he just turned it on kind of mid-March. And just from there, it was off to the races. He became one of the best players in the Big 12, one of the best players that TCU had last year. And now that he's got a year under his belt, a full year of experience in college baseball, you kind of hope that he continues to parlay on that success. And maybe some of those first-year jitters that he maybe had in the postseason, those things going to go away. And that kind of applies to a lot of the team when it comes to postseason success. Now you've got it under your belt. Let's see it. You've seen it. Go out there and tackle the next one.
I'm really curious where Sawyer Strosnider is going to hit in the lineup. I was reading an article by one of our guys, JD Andrus, and he was suggesting that he could hit leadoff for this team. And I think that's an interesting theory for a guy who can drive in a lot of runs, but the idea is you have a guy at the top of the order that can get on base and can really get 1 through 9 going after him. So curious to see where he ends up. But yeah, I mean, what more is there, what more can you say? He's such a gifted hitter, can really make an impact on the game, and I'm really excited to see what the follow up act looks like. And the same goes for Noah Franco.
Yeah,
Really happy that he's coming back for TCU. That pairing together is really special. Obviously, Franco, a two-way guy, could be used in this with this pitching staff in 2026. We'll see. I think overall, it's a pretty deep pitching staff. So, but I think what they'll probably want more out of is his offense.
just keep hitting, dude. That's all you're looking for out of Lucas and Strosnider. And on the Strosnider side, just to go back to him, people forget he was playing with an injured shoulder for a big chunk of that last season. He was not fully 100%, and that's kind of where some of that production tapered off a bit. But he was able to still kind of put up some good numbers, even dealing with that as well, when he was just kind of limited to being a designated hitter. So I'm optimistic for what he can do for TCU this season.
Yeah, another guy you mentioned. There's kind of a lot of consistency from last year with this lineup, but one of the new guys that we wanted to mention was Rob Liddington, first baseman from Incarnate Word. He has a career 332 average, 17 doubles, 17 home runs in 76 games played at Incarnate Word. I believe he's expected to slide in as the first baseman.
Yeah, he'll be at
I
first
believe.
base. He'll be at first base. And you mentioned some of those stats, right? Those are somewhat impressive. 15 of his 17 homers came last year at UIW. So, I mean, he's peaking at the right time in that regard. He hit 359 last year. He was edging on a 700 slugging percentage. He had a really good year, and so he'll definitely be sliding in at first base. Rod Liddington Jr. his full name for all that want to go out there, and there's another Rod Liddington out there somewhere. Get him on the Frogs, see what he can do. But yeah, he'll have some power from the left side. A lot of powerful bats from TCU on the left side. You got Strosnider and Franco, and now Liddington as well to kind of smash the ball out of the park in right field. I'm excited for that trio. See how many homers they can hit, because Liddington hit 15 last year. Franco had 11. Strosnider had 11. I mean, that's a lot of fun. And TCU as a whole kind of needs to get those power numbers up, to be quite honest with you. They usually are kind of lagging behind the power department. Last year was kind of a change in the right direction towards that, with Mosiello coming back into the fold, but hoping that kind of goes up a bit this season too.
Yeah, in 2024, it was rough. I mean, there was not much power to be had. 2025, again, it got better, but in 26, yeah, would love to see that. I think that's so, because they have guys that can get on base at a high clip. It's, can you have those big innings, bring those runs in, and that's certainly important. And Seth, we didn't even mention like Chase Brunson. I mean, he's another guy that is slated to potentially be a first round pick as well. Like TCU could have 2 to 3 guys like taken within the first few rounds of next year's MLB draft. The ceiling is insanely high for Chase Brunson in 2026. Again, just continues to get better and better. Just another guy that to throw into the fold. You got him, Nolan Traeger, Cole Kramer. I mean, this is a deep lineup for TCU. I would argue maybe at least top 3 in the Big 12, maybe even the best.
I mean, this is probably the best in the Big 12. I mean, TCU's, not to cut a long story short, TCU's favored to win the conference and favored to host a regional at the end of the season. Because of a lot of the return, it's a young team, right? There's a lot of sophomores on the team in the lineup, but those sophomores got a lot of playing time last year because TCU had a really good talent evaluation in their recruiting class, and those guys were instant impact guys. And really, there's only one unknown commodity in this lineup for the most part, and the ceiling's really high on them. I don't know what the floor is, to be quite honest with you, but shortstop Lucas Franco, who's kind of slated to go right in there at the infield's most important position, the brother of Noah. We don't have any college statistics on him, no college games under his belt, but he'll get thrown right into the fire, it looks like, this weekend against Vandy, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. And if TCU, if he's as good as any of the freshmen last year, then this lineup is gonna. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this lineup. That it's going to be really good. I mean, you really don't have any weak spots. You're what, Jack Bell, perhaps maybe you're at third base, maybe you're least productive hitter, but even he had some really bright moments last season. Maybe Jack Arthur at DH, if whoever's slotting in at DH. It's just, if Lucas Franco kind of just rounds out the whole thing, plays good defense too. Wow, like this is the lineup of all lineups, perhaps maybe even the deepest of any that I've seen at TCU over the past 5 years, at least in the Kirk Saarloos tenure. Even that one that went to the College World Series, I'll even go as far as say that. And maybe that's putting the bar a bit too high, but I'm looking at this and I'm pumped, to say the least.
It's good, yeah. Lucas Franco, I believe the number 8 freshman according to D1 Baseball. Some important shoes to fill, obviously, with Anthony Silva. Definitely going to be some high expectations. Yeah, you're kind of getting thrown into the fire because you're surrounded by all this talent all across the board in this infield, and then here's Lucas Franco, and he's going to take over at a very, very important. Yeah, that's a very good point. I think just another guy has a really high ceiling, but again, he's young, and so. But TCU's done just. I mean, I will give Kirk Saarloos a lot of credit for this, and you kind of mentioned it, is the ability for freshmen to come in and be able to produce at a high level. We saw it with Carson Bowen and Silva during that College World Series run. Saw it last year, and hopefully you see it again this year. But man, it's a really exciting time right now for a Frog Ball fan to come into this year. It just at the end of last year, like you could see it, like, oh man, that's disappointing end of the year, right? Like, thought maybe that you could get to the Supers and with that roster, but you had a good run in the Big 12 tournament, but you could tell that the seeds were being planted. Like, okay, this team is really close. I think truly the only thing holding this offense back would be like guys hitting a sophomore slump or just like some sort of wall. It's probably going to happen. This team is not going to be dominant at the plate every single game. They're going to run into some slumps, but it's how you overcome it. Can the pitching back you up? Can the defense put it together? Maybe you steal an extra couple bags base running. There's so many other aspects that can win you ball games. Can TCU focus on not being one-dimensional and guys kind of picking up the slack when other players are in slumps?
And that's exactly what happened in 24 when they got up to that 14-0 start and they were hitting the ball like crazy. The pitching was a bit iffy, and then all of a sudden they stopped hitting. You can't have that happen this year. And we'll talk about the pitching in a second and how that can hopefully not be the case this season. That lineup would continue to just mash and mash and mash, and even when they go into slumps, the pitching able to back them up. You want to transition over to the pitching staff right now? Might as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Pitching, I think the depth is there this year for pitching. It's something that's really been lacking with TCU over the last couple seasons. Ben Abel being out for the year was a huge blow for the Frogs last season. And this year, well, I mean, they lose Luis Rodriguez. I mean, that's just, why does this keep happening? I'm sick of it.
Of the biggest guys, like it was supposed to be last year. We were supposed to get that LaPour Abel tandem on the weekend, and we were robbed of it. And this year we were going to get the Rodriguez LaPour tandem, and once again they're just hanging LaPour out to dry. I'm not saying they did the injury on purpose, obviously, and hoping for a full recovery for Rodriguez as he goes on and moves on to his professional career. But man, yeah, it just kind of stinks that we were robbed of such a blessing.
It sucks. I mean, what could have been? Luis Rodriguez, it feels like he's been here for 10 years now, but Uh, he's
Been
been
here
a
for a while.
he's really good in sort of that hybrid role of a spot start guy, really good in long relief out of the bullpen as well. But he will not be in the fold this year for TCU. You can't talk about the pitching without starting with Tommy LaPour. I think the fact he's going to be your Friday night guy, and it's just that Wichita state pipeline that TCU has been able to churn out with Peyton Tully and Tommy LaPour now.
Yeah, I don't think we got one this year. Maybe next year we'll get another one.
I don't know why. I mean, what are we doing, guys? Right? Like, come on. We had to keep it going. I'm just kidding. But Tommy LaPour going to be that true Friday night ace, right? I mean, has a really good fastball. Apparently, he worked in a cutter this season, this offseason, worked on his secondary pitches, his slider and his changeup. So, I mean, really, whoops, my screen was all messed up there for a second. Yeah, really excited about Tommy LaPour this year. I think he's going to be that true ace that TCU needs and that every program could use, right? I mean, just a guy that can set the tone each series, can go out there and you feel good about getting a win because he's going to go 7 innings, give up a couple runs maybe, and you've got a chance to win every time he's out there on the mound.
Yeah, you need it, and good for him for working on those secondary pitches too, because felt like toward the end of the last year, people were starting to key in on that fastball. No matter how good that thing is. I mean, listen, he struck out 88, only walked 27, was a workhorse, 90 in the third innings. So this was a guy who TCU could count up to go out there every single Friday. He started off on Saturdays, but he eventually moved to Fridays. And get the job done. And obviously TCU's going to need for that to happen again in 26. And that's kind of feels like the given, right? You know what you're going to get out of your junior star ace on Fridays, but it's on Saturday and Sunday where, I like what TCU's got, but you also have some question marks because they're not nearly as potent, or at least they didn't put up potent campaigns like LaPour did last season.
There is kind of that question mark for sure. I think Mason Brassfield could be the guy that we could see on Saturday against Arkansas. They're going to get some really good tests here, and I think for Kirk Saarloos, it's a good chance in non-conference play to try some things out, see what you get from these starts against some really good competition, and then by the time conference play rolls around, you have an idea of what that weekend rotation looks like. But Mason Brassfield to me would be the guy on Saturday. And then I'm kind of unsure about Sunday. I don't like who would be
Trevor
your
Baumler.
third. Yeah, that seems right.
Yeah, Trevor Baumler is a starting option. He got, obviously started 6 games last year, mixed results his freshman season, hoping that, that improves heading into his sophomore year. Lance Davis was a transfer from Arkansas. He redshirted at Arkansas last year, didn't really have any playing time at all. Didn't have any playing time at all. So he's entering this season as kind of a fresh face, could potentially be a midweek guy for TCU. And depending on how that goes, also could slot into the weekend. And obviously, Saarloos has been known to have spot starts and bullpen days. And, who's the Braden Sloan of this TCU bullpen that can go out there and throw 5 innings on any given day, right? Like, does that guy exist? Is that guy Lance Davis? Is that guy Trevor Baumler? We'll find out soon enough, because we didn't know Braden Sloan was going to be the Swiss Army knife relief option last year, and he turned out to be just that. And so who's going to be that kind of guy for Kirk Saarloos this year, I think is going to play big in how TCU maneuvers its rotation.
Remember when Braden Sloan was like the best pitcher on the planet for a little bit?
He didn't give up a run for like the first 2 months of the season.
It was crazy. I'm like, what is happening? Why is Braden Sloan pitching like Clayton Kershaw?
Remember when he struck out like 17 against in a midweek game? I feel like I might be mythologizing Braden Sloan a bit too much. Remember when he struck out 17 against that old raggedy tag Arizona Wildcats?
in a row. No, I don't know, but he did, and then he did kind of hit a wall there. But yeah, it'll be kind of it will be something to monitor as far as finding guys that can kind of bridge that gap to get to the get to the back end of the bullpen. Obviously, you're bringing back some decent pitching from last year. You've got the Cade Udy, Nate Stern, and hey, who knows? Maybe Noah Franco could be used. I'm not entirely sure, but it's just another option. So I think finally, and hopefully, if injuries and health is at a minimum, that injuries are at a minimum, that this rotation in this pitching staff is deep enough to where they can have a consistent three. And then they also have guys in the bullpen that, hey, if one guy's off, they can get through a couple innings, eat up some innings, stuff like that. And then obviously they'll have to figure out their Tuesday starter as well.
Yeah, and one more guy in the pen that I didn't hear you mention there. Grand Canyon transfer Walter Quinn. Kind of D1 baseball's projected him to be TCU's ninth inning guy this season. Had a really good year last year with the Antelopes. In 25 appearances, had 11 saves, 3.46 ERA, 40 Ks, 24 walks over 39 innings. So that guy's going to be someone that's going to come out of the pen for TCU probably in the ninth inning. So watch out for him in those big leverage spots.
Nice. That'll be fun to watch. A lot of strikeouts here in this with between LaPour and Brassfield. There's going to be a lot of punch outs. I think Baumler's thing was control. If he can tweak that a little bit, he walked a lot of hitters last year.
Yeah, he had 10 walks in 38 innings, which is, not the worst thing in the world, but it's not. But he also struck out 34 in 38 innings. So listen, this is a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah, we've seen this in Major League Baseball. It's become such a priority with making up a pitching staff is strikeouts. It's really become, I hate to go too much in MLB, but look what Dylan Cease, the deal he just got, right? He got a crazy deal. He's never made an all-star game. He's a great pitcher. He gets a lot of strikeouts. That's his main thing. The Rangers got Mackenzie Gore. He's a great, posts a lot of strikeouts. So that's stuff that translates well into the next level and certainly could play out well for TCU, is to have a bunch of guys that can make guys miss, and defense doesn't have to do as much work. It's a lot more fun that way.
That's the way, we like it nowadays.
Yeah.
And listen, college baseball, we need you to be entertaining because we might not have professional baseball next year. So strike all those hitters out.
What college baseball needs to do is be more strict about this pitch clock. I'm just saying, some of these games go so long.
And some of that's due to offense is much more prevalent in college baseball. Obviously, with the pitchers aren't as good, and you're also giving the hitters metal bats. And so, runs galore, right? With a lot of these averages, I bet you if you just gave these hitters wood bats, you could fluctuate them by maybe 10 points, maybe even more than that. But it's a problem. And it's a problem.
It is. If you saw how many guys that have a 300 or above average on TCU, and again, that's kind of a metric that doesn't define how good of a hitter is as much anymore, but there are so many guys that can hit 300. That's a rarity in Major League Baseball. If you hit 300, that is in today's MLB, that's very rare. So there is a huge disparity between offense at the college level and in the pros.
It is astonishing. I've been reading a lot about kind of, old-timey baseball is maybe not the right word, but the 27 Yankees, historically considered one of the best teams of all time, if not the best teams of all time. I think, and don't quote me on this, I think the league average that year in Major League Baseball was 292.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think the league average probably in Major League Baseball last year was in what, the 240s probably?
Around there. I mean, that would have been. I think that probably would have been close to like the lead for the Rangers if someone was hitting 240.
You hit 292 in Major League Baseball, you are an all-star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a different world now, and with baseball and looking at different metrics and stuff. It's batting average has kind of changed a little bit, and
look at Luis Arias. No one wanted him, and that guy hits a high clip.
Yeah,
I mean, I just don't understand it, but that's okay with me.
Is it high batting average, but the main thing is like his defense, and so it's just changed nowadays. But with this TCU team, it's a team that can hit for power, can back you up with really good pitching. There's just not a ton of flaws at this point. And I think I want to get into this last little thing here with what your expectations are. I mean, truly, Big 12 title or bust, and
host.
A host, yeah. Super regional at the least. Like, that is my expectation for TCU baseball. I don't think that's crazy to say. This team can go toe-to-toe with a lot of great programs in the country, and they're going to get a chance to put it on display this weekend, and I hope they back me up.
Yeah, on the Big 12 title front, like there is not a lot of, at least, comparable on paper, Big 12 competition. Arizona would probably be the other team on the list. Oklahoma State kind of maybe is that, rounds out the trio with, TCU, Arizona, and the Cowboys, and that's kind of it in terms of like how I see realistic kind of, once we get to the tournament, who can win that Big 12 tournament. Obviously, it's the Big 12 tournament. Crazy things can happen in a single elimination style like that, or is it double? I don't remember.
I think for Big 12,
I think it's single now.
Big 12, yeah, I think it is single. Yep.
Okay.
I think they changed it last year.
It used to be double.
Yeah.
But regardless, crazy things can happen. But in terms of regular season title, with the schedule that TCU has in conference play, I think they should go out there and get the job done. Because listen, you're playing some teams that aren't going to sniff the postseason play, and you just got to take advantage and go out there and win. But what also that means is you got to take advantage of your non-conference big-time opponents, or your resume is not going to be viewed as strong enough to host. So that means go out there, perform well in Arlington, play well against the Bruins in Los Angeles next weekend. Go out there and do your thing. That's what that means.
That's where I'm at. I'm not super familiar with the Big 12. I'm always like the guy that's like, I'm not going to know much about the other teams going into the season, but once it plays out, then I can get an idea of, okay, this is where teams are looking and stuff like that. Again, just a fun weekend of baseball. If you can get out to Globe Life, hey, get to watch some great college baseball to start the year.
That event's always fun, even just to go watch other games, not just TCU. Always had a good time doing that.
But I will say this. I know Arkansas is the highest ranked opponent, and it seems like it's the most enticing game to go to. I highly advise against it because, Seth, I know you have Arkansas ties, and you like the Razorbacks.
You're over-exaggerating what you're about to say, by the way. It's not that
Their
bad.
fans are insane. They are in like a good way, but also like if you're losing, you just do not want to be there.
Just don't lose. Just don't lose. That's all you got to do.
When Arkansas plays in Texas at Globe Life, they're like, it's a sea of red. It's impressive. And I'm saying this in a complimentary way. Like, it is really impressive, the turnout that Arkansas fans have at Globe Life Field. I've been there for a couple of those games against Arkansas. When you're winning, it's great, because they're not as loud. But when they are winning, oh my gosh, that it's a 10th man in the field. Honestly, it's that, like, it's home field advantage for them. I'm not kidding. I'm not over exaggerating either.
Yeah, I mean it's a good environment. But hey, every team has their annoying fans. Vandy has that Whistler dude. I don't know if he'll be there in Arlington, and then I don't know what OU has. Do they? I don't, probably nothing. They don't care
Well,
about.
I'm not.
They don't.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. I'm not necessarily saying they're annoying. It's just like, holy crap, it's insane. Like, it's annoying when you're losing, and then you're just like, oh, here comes another woo pig suey.
Wood pig. An underrated part, just to pivot back to the schedule a bit. Underrated part: TC doesn't play a home game until February 27th.
Really?
They're in Arlington, and they play UT Arlington in Arlington on the 17th before heading out to LA for a 4-game set against UCLA in Loyola Marymount, and then they come back for New Haven, and then they're back in Texas for a little while. But it's definitely, I mean, they don't come back to Fort Worth for quite some time.
Yeah, they'll host Tulane in March. I'm excited for that Jersey matchup. Just personally, love Tulane's colors. Then you got Kansas on a random Tuesday, and then Arizona State in Tempe to start. Big
See what
12.
you can do against the fighting Cole Cluckers of Arizona State.
Really, he's at Arizona State now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll see him.
Maybe we'll see him, and maybe I believe we'll see on Sunday if Mason Bigsby makes an appearance for the Sooners.
Could be going up against some former Frogs, but the current TCU team, again, can't say enough how talented this team is on paper. Now they got to show it out on the field, and they'll have plenty of great opportunities to do so. So after this weekend series at Globe Life, we're going to recap it. We'll talk about it, and plenty of TCU baseball coverage to come as the season has finally arrived. Really excited for Frog Ball. That'll finish things up here for this episode of Believe in TCU. You can subscribe to our YouTube page, or hey, listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, all at Believe in TCU. So for Seth Dowdle, I'm Zion Trammell. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, go Frogs.